right, good evening and welcome to another episode of this podcast. I'm your host, Dr. J.C. Coleman, and I'm just going to be keeping it real. Today I definitely want to talk about a subject that's near and dear to my heart, and that is mental health. And I feel like our people suffer needlessly. Well, of course, no, they suffer, but they suffer needlessly because oftentimes people have no clue of how to get their loved ones help. They don't understand the process. So today I'm going to talk about mental illness, and I'm also going to touch on how do you go through the process of getting your loved ones some help. Be if that help is commitment, or that's inpatient commitment, or if that's outpatient commitment, whatever it's going to take to get your loved ones some help. So we're going to talk about those things. Oftentimes, when it comes to mental health and mental illness, of course, we all know that there is a stigma. There is a stigma associated with mental health and mental illness, and black people really are slow to the party. When it comes to taking care of our mental health, and even acknowledging the fact that we actually have a mental illness. It's always been taboo when it came down to mental health. Not only was it taboo to talk about it at home, it was taboo in the churches. The pastor didn't understand it. He was he led people to believe that he could pray, lay hands on people, and pray that evil spirit out of them, which was mental health, which was mental illness. So we're going through the process now of trying to dispel some of the myths and try to educate people on mental illness and how they can best serve their family members, and to get the help that they need when they have a mental health crisis. The first thing I want to talk about the commitment process when a person suffers from a mental illness and they're in need of some inpatient care. How do you go through that process? Well, there are several ways you go through that process. Number one, you can take them to your local emergency room. Once you take them to your local emergency room, and if they have a history of mental illness, and of course, and you share that with the doctors in the emergency room, then they will know how to best address some of the issues that's going on if those signs are present. So what they would do, they have the authority. They could put what's called a 72-hour e-hold on that particular person. When they put a 72-hour e-hold on that person, typically they would contact, in our case, they would contact the probate court, the probate judge's office, and to speak to the mental health person, and the mental health person will set up an appointment where he will come out and assess that person. During that assessment, you want to find out or determine if that person meets the criteria for inpatient commitment, or if that person meets the criteria for outpatient commitment. And two of the main factors in that is that person suicidal, or is that person homicidal, or is that person a danger or a threat to himself or to anybody else. Those are the main factors that we're looking for when we're doing the assessment. It's important that we get a history of this person's mental illness, and so all of that information helps into making a determination as to whether or not that person meets the criteria for inpatient commitment. Now, I got to tell you, everybody who suffers from a mental illness does not meet the criteria for inpatient commitment. I have a lot of people contact me and say, well, my loved one refuses to take medicine. I need to have them committed. Well, that's not enough to get a person committed. Uh, because if that person is actually committed based on that, when that person gets into the facility, that person has a right to refuse medicine then. So if that person decides that they don't want to take medicine inside the facility, um, what do you do? So that's why we try to educate family members on those illnesses, and we have to educate them and school them on the different resources that are available, because it's not always commitment. But that's the first thing people want is I want to get that person, I want to get my loved one committed to a mental health facility. When if oftentimes when they are not on that medication or they refuse to take their medication, um, if you can maybe get them to voluntarily go in and get back on that medication and get back on in some type of regimen, then you'll save a lot of beds, because as quiet as it's kept, there are not a lot of inpatient beds available for mental health people at this time, and that's just a fact. Uh, Funding, is an issue, but that's another story for another time. Okay, so when that person is being assessed and it is determined that that person meets the criteria for inpatient commitment, then the next step is to go to the probate office in your county. You go to that probate office and you file a petition. That is a petition for commitment. Now, when you file that petition for commitment and pay the necessary fee and everything, you're actually swearing to the fact that this person is exhibiting these types of behavior, because what would happen uh, during the determination phase, as a therapist and as the person who's doing the assessment, then we would write that information up and would concur that this person would benefit from inpatient treatment. And so you come in and you would file a petition to have this person committed. We were at the probate court. They will prepare all the paperwork. The paperwork will be prepared, and um, the writ there will be a writ prepared for the sheriff office, where the sheriff will go and pick this person up and take this person to the state designated mental health facility. And within 7 days, we'll set a court date, and that person has a right. Well, first of all, let me back up. A guardian ad litem would be assigned to that person, so they will have an attorney to represent them. Then they will also have an attorney to represent the petitioner, the person who signed the petition. So uh, uh, when the court date is set, that person has a right to come to court, and they have a right. They could waive that right to come to court. Oftentimes, they waive that right. And they don't come to court, but they have a right to come to court and to make the case as to why they may or may not need to be committed. Um, so the judge will hear both sides, and then there will also what will accompany the what the court will have at their disposal a letter of recommendation from a physician or an official at that particular facility. They will make their recommendation as to after they have observed this person for a couple of days or whatever. They will make a recommendation, and that recommendation could be a 30-day continuance, because it could be that, well, we have not observed this person long enough to make a clear determination as to whether or not this person needs to be committed. So it would be a 30-day continuance, or it would be a dismissal because this person did not exhibit that behavior, um, or it could be a recommendation for commitment. Um, Normally, if everybody's in agreement, then if that person is to be committed, then that person would be committed up to 150 days into the State Department of Mental Health for care. And also in that order, it would read that uh, to be discharged at the doctor's discretion. So oftentimes they don't stay 150 days. So what happens in those mental health facilities, they're acute care facilities. What happens is that they get that person back to their baseline, to functioning on their baseline, and try to get them back on a regimen of taking their medication, and you observe them, and then you discharge them back. Now, the big thing is when that person is discharged, family members, um, within 2 to 3 weeks, they're calling back and saying, uh, he or she is acting up again. What am I going to do? He was just committed. What did they do with him? A couple of things. Number one, you never fix mental illness, okay? There is no magic pill. Um, Mental illness is something you have to manage. And the person who's suffering from the mental illness, not only are they not able to manage it by themselves, they're going to need the support of the family members. You've got to make sure that this person is going to make their appointments. You've got to make sure that this person is going to take their medication. You got to use whatever it is at your disposal to ensure that your loved one do the things that they need to do to stay functioning. They could function and live very productive lives if they took their medication. Um, so the problem is most family members are fed up. They're done. They're like, look, I'm done with this person. Uh, I want this person committed and put away. Y'all keep him. That's your loved one. That is your loved one. And we have all kinds of different situations that comes up. You have some people. Um, some people want the check, but they don't want the responsibility. So we have to. There are all these types of things are going on with people with mental illness. Your loved ones can get better, but they're going to need your help to get better, and that's something that you have to manage all of their lives. So don't think just because they get committed, they go inpatient, and once they go inpatient and they get out, don't think they're fixed. There's no such thing as being fixed from mental illness. They're stable when they get out. Oftentimes they're stable. So you're going to have to make sure that they maintain a good regimen to so they can continue to be stable. Um, those are some of the things that we see on a day-to-day basis when it comes to mental health, when it comes to the commitment process of getting your loved one help. It is important that you learn all you can about that illness. Um, Another thing that I want to touch on real quick is that when a person is prescribed psychotropic drugs and they take the drugs and they don't like the way it feels, so the first thing they do is stop taking the drugs. No, that's the wrong answer. Communicate back with your physician. Let your prescriber know the effects of that medication. Now, then they will have to make the necessary adjustments, because you got to understand that the illness is caused by an imbalance in the brains. So, in order to get the right medication, uh, get it balanced per se, you're going to have to communicate, and it takes some time, and you're going to have to continue to take it. So what happens oftentimes is that they get the medication, and if it's not the right dosage, they stop taking it. So then what happens? Then they start self-medicating. They either start with other prescription drugs. They just start abusing, or they might start with some street drugs and they start taking that. And and what happens is that those street drugs and those other drugs are not regulated. So when you take them, you go here, they go there. They get that sense of whatever euphoria. Man, I like this feeling. I like this feeling. But you're gonna come down. So when you come down, you got to continue to take it. Got to continue to take it. Whereas if you would give your psychotropic drugs a chance and talk to your prescriber and let them make the necessary adjustments. Once they get the adjustments right, however long it might take, then you start feeling better. You start feeling good. A problem with that is that oftentimes when they start feeling better, the first thing they do is say, well, I don't need the drugs anymore. So they stop taking the medication. Well, you're feeling good because you took the medication, if the story is told. That's why you were feeling good, because you were taking your meds, um, because you're not cured. And I'll tell you this, every time you have a setback from your medicine, every time you spiral out, it's going to get worse and worse each time around. So these are some of the things that I feel like it is important that family members who have an interest in their loved ones' health and who have an interest in them getting better and functioning the best that they can, I think it's so important that you learn all you can about that illness, about the medication, and talk to the prescriber. Make sure that when they go into these mental health facilities, they do the proper release so that you can have a conversation with the doctors or you can have a conversation with the providers and you can assist in helping this person to get better. All right, that's going to do it for today. I hope you get something out of this when it comes to treating your loved ones and dealing with mental health issues. And I want to tell you is that we all we all at some point will have some mental health issues. Some are severe, some are not severe, but at some point we all will experience mental health conditions, episodes, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's really nothing to be ashamed of. We just need to educate ourselves and learn how to deal with it and how to manage it. Okay. Well, I hope you get something from this video. If you do, hit the like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions or comments or anything you want to talk about pertaining to a subject matter that I try to cover here, just drop it in the message box, and I'll make sure that I get back in touch with you. Until next time, I want you to take care of yourself and know that God loves you. I love you. And some preachers said that there's nothing you can do about it. God bless you.